Love you, honey. I'll see you soon.
All hang out.
Yeah, baby. Okay, hey, you guys. I think you're here. I'm not sure. Oh, my eyesight is so bad. It's just ridiculous. Oh, because I'm slightly... Wait a second. Wait. It's going to freak me out if it doesn't start. I'm going to be really mad. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get so mad. Hang on. Because I added this before, so you don't know if it works. Wait a second. Wait. Oh, that's an ad. Like, why is there an ad on? Oh my God. YouTube. So frustrating. So, like, I'm building this site. Oh, Yarnitarian, episode 25. All things life, knitting, yarn, and fiber while high on Flamin Hot Cheetos and cheap American beer. Sometimes marijuana, too. Not gonna lie. Maybe some psilocybin mushrooms. Maybe a little bit of peyote. You just never know. Here at Namaste Farms. Anyway, so I don't know where I was going with the conversation just a few seconds ago. I've already purged that. Because I'm so extraordinarily tired. You guys are like, when are you not tired? No, like, first of all, there is good news. Get ready. My husband bought, this isn't the good news. One of the reasons we don't have any money, my husband, I didn't even know refrigerators could cost $10,000, but our refrigerator was $10,000. That was 20 years ago. And it's been dying, like literally dying, for the last like 5 years. Like when I first started teaching online, people used to complain that the sound was so, it was noisy, right? And the freezer had stopped working. Just the refrigerator worked, and we have a refrigerator freezer outside in the garage too, and so it didn't really matter because we just used that one because I knew it was going to be on its way out. But it actually, our kitchen is kind of built around it, so I kept thinking, God, when this thing breaks, like, what are we going to do? Because we have to find something that fits exactly in this. But I didn't talk to my husband about this, right? So he was sleeping like, because he sleeps sometimes. He's very unique that way, and I went to go get something out of the refrigerator and it was completely like warm. Everything in there was warm. Everything was completely ruined. But he was asleep and I thought, I'm going to look on Craigslist. And I had been looking like every once in a while for the last like 5 years, since knowing that it was going to like go down in flames soon. It took 5 years. But anyhow, so I put in, it's a GE monogram, and it's got, what are they called? What are these doors? Whatever those doors are. Side by side doors. Side by side in there, and 42 inches wide, and it's 83 inches tall. And so anyway, I looked on OfferUp, and I've never found one that was like under $7,500. That's like about how much they are. Even that, like, you have to understand, I don't think that I don't know, maybe they still make them. I don't think so. And it doesn't even matter. So I just put that in Craigslist, and I found one, you guys, for like $7,500, another one for $7,500, a couple for like $2,500, and then I found one for $500. And it looked like in perfect condition. I was like, it's not possible that this thing's actually going to work, is it? And then I called the guy. He was in, I guess he was like in Mexico somewhere, like vacationing. And he said, I said, will you negotiate at all? Because these are kind of tricky, because they are tricky. I mean, there's like a lot of things that can go wrong with them. Because that's what happens whenever you get technology, right? Something really like that. Like there's always like the motherboard, whatever, can go off. So anyway, I was like, they're kind of glitching. He's like, okay, how about 400? So I bought it. So I bought this refrigerator, and it's like, I swear, it took 4 large men to move this refrigerator. So anyway, so we get it into the kitchen, and then get the other one out. And it was, Sean's like, it's going to take Connery and myself and probably 2 young, really strong men to help us. And so it just so happened there was 2 couples staying in the main cottage, and they had brought, this is a whole nother story, they had brought like this insane Doberman here, right? That's the dog they bring here, right? And that is completely out of control. And so I not only let them stay, but then I help them with their dog. So I was like, hey, you guys, since now we're best friends, could you help us move the refrigerator? Yeah. So they helped us move the refrigerator. But anyway, it works. So now we have a refrigerator. You guys are like, that was so painful, Natalie. Could you have edited it too? I got a new refrigerator. No, this is the cool thing, is that I looked for a refrigerator and I found the exact refrigerator. It had only been up for like 7 days. They've been up for 7 days for that price. And I mean, honestly, finding one for that price, because I've been looking, like I said, for 5 years, like whenever I put them in, I don't have something to do, which is never, but like let's say I'm on the airplane or whatever, I start looking for refrigerators. And I also look for the same stove that we have, because that stove is another one. It's a DCS, and it was really expensive, and it's a 5-burner, and I love it. And there was one on OfferUp, and it was like a 6-month-old advert, and someone had bought it. So I was really mad because that one, everything in our kitchen, these things are all built in. So anyway, and then after I told my husband how excited I was that I found this 42-inch wide refrigerator that was 83 inches tall, that was exactly the same refrigerator we have, but newer, he said, oh, I think, no, it's a really common size. We could have gotten a different brand if we needed to. I was like, oh, probably should have mentioned it to you then, huh? But while you were sleeping, I found a refrigerator. That's the whole point. So, so these people, you guys, these Airbnb people, so I get up this booking for 4 and whatever, I don't know why, but I always assume people are going to be my age. I don't know, because it's not inexpensive to come here. So they come, and the check-in is 3:00, and they came, and it was like, nothing irritates me more when someone that comes like 10:30 and goes, we're here. I'm like, you're here, that's great, but like check-ins at 3, that's not what I say. If I don't have anyone in there, I just say, fine, that's great. So I said, actually, there was nobody before you, so you can check in now. You're kind of lucky. And he goes, we have a dog. Okay, this is the face he gives me watch. He goes, oh yeah, and we have a dog. And he's like looking at me kind of over my fence. And I said, oh, okay. And he's like, it's a Doberman. And I looked at him and I said, oh, that's okay. And now here's well, and he's kind of aggressive with other dogs. And I said, yeah, well, my dogs, my dogs aren't going to do anything to your dog or give it any reason to, like, be imbalanced and try and attack them, right? So his girlfriend is he's like 6'4" and like maybe 23, 24. His girlfriend's super pretty, really petite, weighs like 110 pounds. His dog weighs like 90 pounds. That's not a lie. It was really overweight. And it was like probably 5 years old. And it's dragging her. It's dragging her through my gates to try and kill Gooby. Gooby, my neutered poodle, standard poodle, rescue standard poodle. Oh my God, you guys. Like I didn't even, I'm like a Jack Russell after a rabbit. When something happens, I don't even know what I'm doing. I just do it. And like everybody else be damned. I grabbed that leash out of her hand and started jerking the fuck out of that dog. And just as hard as it pulled me, I pulled it because there's, I did get nervous there for a second that it was going to turn around and bite me. But I didn't give a shit. Like on my property, you're not going to try and attack one of my dogs. Like, there's no way. Like, that shit's not going to fly. And this girl, like, she had no idea what she was doing. She was just, like, letting him drag her, right? And so she went, like, she was really, like, freaked out. Like, she can't believe that I just grabbed this dog out of her hand and am disciplining this dog, right? And by the time I got done with it, the dog just sat right next to me. And I said, okay, this is the thing. I was shaking. I was so pissed off, right? Because all that would have to happen is the dog, would have gotten away from her. And now we have a nightmare, right? Because I don't know this dog. I don't know how bad. I don't know if this dog actually, and I have put down a Doberman because I actually put it down because it tried to bite my husband, tried to bite an employee, and when I went to went to correct it, not discipline it like hit it, but went to correct it, it tried to bite me. And I said, okay, I waited till 7:30 in the morning, took it to the vet, and had to put down that minute. So anyway, so I don't know this dog, and I even know Scrappy will bite me. He has no problem. He has dew claws because, I know he looks purebred and like he's coiffed, but he has his dew claws. They weren't removed. Stupid breeder. At the pound, just kidding. And he gets his toenails, like they get caught and like they'll be like wiggling. And then if I pick him up, he literally will bite me. And he yelps and then bites me, and then I have to pull it off. I have to pull this off because if I don't, every time, it's like having gout. Every time the sheet touches it, like he starts crying, right? So I have to just hold him as he's biting me and just pull it, just rip it really quickly. And anyway, so and then I had another dog. I actually didn't put this one down, but I should have. I found another home for him, but it was an older man that wanted him desperately and didn't have any grandkids or anything. And the guy was like 80, and his red Merle had just died. And this dog was really aggressive. I had him since he was a puppy, and he was just a super dominant dog. And I went. So I can't remember what happened one time, and he's growled at me. I think it was like I even went down to pet him, and he like growled at me, and I was like, what? Like, this is so, like, I'm so alpha. It was, like, shocking, right? And I went to do it again, and he growled at me again, and I had an older dog that was in intact male, and this dog was, like, a year, and he hadn't been neutered yet. I said, River, come here. And then I did something to make the dog growl at me, and the River just knocked the bejesus out of this dog. Just like, and River was huge, massive Australian Shepherd. Just massive. And just literally, like took this dog down, and this, it was a bad dog fight, but, their fur is so thick. It's so thick, because they're really hairy, and nobody got hurt. But man, so then I thought actually, I don't know why I thought I was pretty naive. I thought, that probably taught him his lesson. No. And I took him to the vet to have him neutered, and he said it's probably a habit now, and that's probably never going to go away. Said it never did. The dog was always aggressive. Couldn't trust him. And so anyway, the idea that a dog is going to bite its owner is not that far. And they're high-powered dogs, right? Rottweilers, Dobermans, Malinois, German Shepherds, if you're not, and I tried to tell her, I said, hey, listen, when your dog's dragging you through my gates trying to kill my dog on my property, like, I gotta tell you, like, you're clearly not in control of this dog, right? And I said, it's not your fault. Don't feel, I'm not being mean to you, but what I am telling you is that this dog could really hurt somebody, and it could really hurt something. And then she kind of laughed, and I said, don't laugh. I mean, it's like a loaded gun. I said, I don't know your dog, but I'm telling you, dogs are like a loaded gun, especially these kind of breeds. It's like, she's like, well, then I said, I just talked to her for a minute, and she was not nice until I told her I had a master's in animal science. And then she was like, oh, okay. And I'm not, and believe me, I'm not a dog trainer. But there are things that I know. Like, one, if she can't, I said, basically, this is the rule. If you didn't ask your dog to do it and it's doing it, then you better stop it from doing it and ask it to do the right thing, right? Make the wrong thing hard and the right thing easy. So, anyhow, it's, you're training kids and training horses and dogs. It's all kind of, goes to the same thing. I mean, it really does, right? Right. Bad behaviors, you discourage, right? And you encourage when they try to do the right thing, you encourage it, right? Instead of like not just letting him like run rampant all over you. And so then anyway, and then he was really overweight, and I said, I'm just guessing you can't take him to any dog parks, can you? And she goes, no, not really. I said, I know, because he's really overweight, because you can't take him, because he tries to kill other dogs. Well, if you'd start being alpha, he would probably become better, but because he's totally alpha, he's running the show, he doesn't necessarily want to be alpha, but because no one's taking the rule, he's taking it. And so then, anyway, but that was like touch and go. I was really worried about I have to tell you, because after I did it, I couldn't believe I did it. Like, I couldn't believe I did it until I looked at her face, and then I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just ripped the leash out of this girl's hand, like literally. And didn't even ask her, like literally just disciplined her dog and just told her, stay away, don't look at the dog. I mean, I was just like, because like, I'm not going to let somebody hurt Goopy. And I've had 2 dogs killed by another dog. I had a Yorkshire Terrier, his throat was ripped out by a Cocker Spaniel. And then I had, it's just tragedy. It happens. Dogs will kill other dogs. And so, because of that, I am really on, I don't think, oh, it'll never happen. And if you have girl dogs, they can fight, man. Those are the fight to the death ones. People think girl dogs don't fight. Get true girl dogs in a fight and watch. Blossom has been to the hospital a couple of times because of getting in fights with, was it Wonder? I think she's gotten in a fight with our Pyrenees. My Jack Russell's gotten in a fight with my Pyrenees. Now they're both so old and they still want to fight, but one of them's crippled and the other one's blind. So, even though the blind one gets away from the crippled one fast enough, even though it's blind, to get hurt. So it doesn't get hurt. But anyway, okay, let me see what you guys are doing. It's hotter than anything in here tonight. Oh my God, you guys, I'm like, gonna start glowing. I'm gonna start sweating. Okay, Ike Skapansky. Ike's Equines. You guys subscribe to Ike's Equines. Okay, wait, I gotta go all the way to the top. Diana, I just saw you. You guys, 2 weekends. 2 weekends. This in the last 6 weeks, YouTube's been down. So this week I went to teach my class, and YouTube was down, and like it got all choppy, and then at first you think it's you. I always think it's me, and then I go online and look, and YouTube was down. Like it was really down in Eastern Europe and in Los Angeles and New York. I mean, that doesn't mean some people couldn't watch it, but you couldn't. The bandwidth wasn't fast enough to like live stream. Cy and Sutton Kelly, I did not forget, by the way, of our thing that I'm sending you, and Jacinda and Darlene and Valerie. Hi, you guys. And Samantha Vincent and Liz Rose. Jacinda. Did I say Jacinda already? I like the name Jacinda. Mary Wildflower. Hi, Mary Wildflower. And let's see. I did say Liz Rose. And then Sutton Kelly saying, sounds like I got a really sweet deal on the refrigerator. I am telling you, offer up. Okay, so I have these people, the Hawaiians. They're staying with me. You guys, it was so funny. Okay, I don't know if you guys know any Hawaiians that are like from Hawaii, but I know I've known four people from Hawaii. So my good friend Naomi, who I love, and then these 2 people, and then one other person that I can think of right off the top of my head. But like so mellow, like that's a really huge generalization, but they're mellow people, like really mellow with this accent. They have this accent from speaking Pidgin, I guess. So they have a distinct accent. So anyhow, the Hawaii people are staying here for like, I want to say it's like, what is it? Now it's going to be 5 weeks. And Naomi comes to see me. I haven't seen Naomi in a long time. And I've let Naomi's always got a place, like at my table, always is one of my best friends for sure. She's just awesome. I haven't seen her in a long time. So she comes here and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally excited because I've got a Hawaiian friend and these Hawaiian people are staying with me, right? So I said, oh, come meet them, come meet the people that are staying here. So then I see them and I'm like, Ed and Linda, this is my friend Naomi. And like, I'm all like amped and like animated and really excited that I'm introducing them and they can talk about Oahu and they can talk about Kauai, right? And their experiences because they have family on both, each of them have family on each of the islands. And so it was like this, oh, hi. Hi. Awesome. So you lived in what island? I have some friends. This is how I literally was like, for a minute I did think, I was like, wow, like I think all these people are introverted. And I know, I mean, and truth be told, like a lot of my friends are introverted. I love introverted people. And I love all three of these people. So it's probably is the case, right? So I'm thinking this as I'm introducing them, but I had to go in the house and get something. So I said, you guys, I'll be back, and I'll be back. I was actually talking to the people, the tenants, and I thought Naomi would come with me. And Naomi goes, no, I'm going to stay here. And I actually was like, you're going to, because I felt like it was really uncomfortable because the conversation was so painfully slow. Like, and it felt like nobody knew what to say to the other person. They've just been like plopped together because some crazy lady. I'm back. I'm back. I don't know what happened. It was stupid and I had to like reboot the whole thing. Yes, I'm back. I am. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't care. I mean, because there's nothing I can do about it. Every time I tell, you know what, that pisses me off because then I tell you these great parts of the story and then you miss the parts of the story. The whole point of the story is that their communication is so different and they stayed for a couple of hours visiting with Naomi the entire time that we were like we were planting more stuff in my garden. And then Naomi even said, I said, Naomi, you haven't been here in like, years, like 2 years or something. And I said, you have to, come by more. Like, she used to come by all the time. She came by like every other weekend. She'd come by. And she lives in like Manhattan Beach. And she's like, oh no, I told them I would be back before they left. And because they have like 3 more weeks here. And I was like, it's so funny. It's just that that's their cadence is like a cadence that for me felt like it was uncomfortable. But that's the Hawaii cadence. It's pretty cool, actually. It was kind of cool. The whole thing was neat. And these people are so nice. Like I was bragging. I told them that the natural state of things in that trailer is that it's not going to work. So when something does work, just get happy. Don't get unhappy when something doesn't work. Just be happy when it does. So because I bought this, like I wanted to get one of those combination dryer washers that's for an RV that runs on 110. And they're pretty expensive. They're like $1,000. And I found one for like 110, but then Jenny paid for it, and it doesn't work. Right, hooked it up for him, and it was like, for an hour and a half, Sean and Ed were trying to get it to work, and it wasn't working. And I was sure, but it's the first thing really that I've bought from OfferUp that has not worked. That's the first thing. But it was really funny watching them because they were peering in the like front load part, because front load, right? So they're peering in, trying to see if the water's going in. It was actually funny. It looked like they were watching washer dryer television. But it does seem weird that you could have a washer and dryer all in one. Oh, and then my son with his cut leg, Connor, you guys, like my son is crazy. I'm just going to let you know right now, the 28-year-old, I'm telling you. So he cuts himself with a chainsaw, which was stupid. I had no sympathy for him, as I've told you. I had no sympathy for him. I'm sorry. You cut your leg with a chainsaw, and because of what you were doing that even my 16-year-old knows you would never do. Right? I don't have any, I just don't. And plus, if his leg was cut off, I might feel sorry for him, but his leg wasn't cut off. So, he had, said that the doctor had said that he was lucky he didn't lose his leg, and his leg wasn't even swollen. I had 7 stitches in my mouth. He had 7 stitches on his leg, right? So it's not that big of a deal. So then, and he wears shorts, and I can see his leg's not swollen, right? There's just like a little piece of that wrap on it. So then he's had like 3 doctor's appointments last week, and he comes back in and milks it for everything he's got. He's like, well, just to let you know, I went to another doctor and they said, it's a really good thing that I came because I could have lost my leg. I literally still am like, and so I was talking about that with my husband today. Because and then one of the things he said too was that they told him that he shouldn't be doing any sort of farm work. How convenient, huh? Because, there's germs in his legs trying to heal, right? And I'm like, do you know how many surgeries I've had, Connery? That like my shoulder surgery, I was out the next day and it was supposed to be in a sling for 6 months and I sheared a goat the next day. Yeah, I know. It was because she had a baby and she had a long fleece and the baby wasn't going to be able to nurse. So anyway, I just had Sean be my other arm. Like I had this in the sling, but then Sean just stood behind me, and and Sean doesn't know how to shear. I mean, he's never sheared one, but I just did it in the New Zealand method, and he would just roll it. I would just tell him, he just was standing behind me, and he was just my left arm, right? And so I can't even tell you. So I've had so many surgeries where they're like, and you can't, and then but what are you going to do? You have a farm, you have to go out there. Are you kidding me? So, and I looked at him and I said, Connery, I mean, this is what they have to tell you, just in case you want to be a leg model, and then you have a big scar, which you're going to, and then they're like, we did everything we could. We sent him to a wound specialist. Your leg is fine. Mom, it's not fine. Several doctors have told me I could have lost it. So what I'm thinking is what they said, which he conveniently twisted it around, is they said, oh, a chainsaw accident, you could have lost your leg. Not from the infection, and then he's like, well, they had to debride it. I'm like, of course they had to debride it. It's a wound. They're going to have to debride it. But I hate pussies. I really do. I just hate it. It really gets on my nerves. Like, there's a whole nother level of anger for me, is that someone that's trying to milk some sort of something for secondary gain, it really bugs me. You're like, really? We wouldn't have noticed that. Yeah, so Connery, he doesn't, I'm like, the least you could do is start limping. Like, for me to even slightly be concerned about your leg, you might want to pretend you have a limp. But I just keep telling, and then he, because he hasn't worked, at his job for like 2 weeks. Of course, that means I'm not getting any rent, right? So, and I looked at him and I go, Connery, you're going to have to just buck up, and you're just going to have to go to work. And that's just the way it is. You're going to have to work. Well, the doctor, I said, I don't care what the doctor says, you're going to have to work. It's been like 2 weeks. You're going to have to work. You guys, 7 stitches, please. And you're going to lose your leg. I'm like, you better show me that red line. What is it, like, you have like a blood infection? Whatever. And he's not going to be a leg model anyway. Eileen's like, lol, you are hardcore. And then, totally. Samantha says, I would be like, shut up and take your antibiotics, leave me alone. But I do kind of, you guys, you have to understand that I do feel a little bit like a mean mother. I mean, I'm like, okay, could you just like pretend to feel sorry for him? And I'm like, no, why would I pretend to feel sorry for him? That's encouraging his stupid behavior. And then even my husband, you have to understand, Sean is like, I am so glad I'm married to him. I really am. I'm just so glad I'm married to him, and I'm so glad that I didn't leave my husband when we had our financial. I'm just going to tell you, because no one else could be married to me for one, and I mean, I love him tremendously, but even Sean, who is just the kindest person on the face of the planet, he couldn't even feel sorry for me. He's like, kid, this is the way my husband talks, he goes, kid, if you were going to lose your leg, they would have admitted you to the hospital. Did I say that? I've had a couple beers. Let me try that again. Kid, if you're going to lose your leg, they would have admitted you to the hospital. They wouldn't have let you out. Yeah, I know. I do. Right now I am feeling bad, though, because my husband, I'm sure, has malignant melanoma because he's had it before on his back, and he, for some reason, isn't going to the doctor. So I have to put that on my itinerary of things to do, is to make sure he gets to the doctor. But I have to go, you guys. So next week I'm probably not going to be here because I have to go. I won't be here next Tuesday because I'm going to Stitches, right? Going to Stitches, and I have to get back to back. Right when I get back, I have the one day in between, and I have to be leaving the next day for, knock it off, Jane, for I strangle you right in front of everybody. Boy, wouldn't that make PETA happy? And then she took this little miniature Australian Shepherd that barks like a Sheltie, and she throttled it. Let's say, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm looking. You guys, what are you talking about? Okay. The other thing. Okay, so the other thing besides all that. So, when my husband leaves for work at night, which I hate. I just hate that he works. I just hate it. It's so inconvenient for me. But I can't go back to sleep, so it's usually 2 a.m. I wake up, right? So I wake up at 2 a.m, and I'm trying to go back to sleep, but I start watching television, right? And I'm not a big TV watcher, but I have Hulu. You're like, wow, Natalie, that's really upscale. It's like $6 a month. But anyway, so I have Hulu, and they have this this series, what is it? 90 Day Fiance from TLC. I don't have that channel, but on Hulu, the old episodes. So 90 Day Fiance, where they meet the person that's trying to be on the, what is it, E1 visa or B1 or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. But to come up, they have 90 days to figure it out, and then they have to get married. And I watched I don't know how many hours of that. I think all told every night from 2 a.m. I've watched, like, till I thought I was living in it. I actually for a minute thought that I knew these people. Like, I'm serious. And all I could think of was, oh my gosh, like, everybody is always looking for love. They are always looking for love. It's really sad. And then I watched the one, then because I was addicted to that, I started watching the one night before last in the middle of the night. That was called Love at First Sight, where you don't meet the person. Some experts pick the person for you and you actually have to marry them the day you meet them. That one, let me just say, because I'm going to be honest with you, like I don't care if someone's attractive or not, but the second you meet them and you're looking at them, they probably should be attractive to you in that moment, because you know how some people aren't really good looking until you know them, right? And then you're just like so like, you know, smitten with them because they're such a great person and all you see is their heart, right? And then it just makes their face and their body beautiful. So that's kind of like, that's, but that first initial thing, like I can't even tell you, like, talk about, like, some people want to watch dramas or whatever, or like horror shows for suspense. That's suspenseful. These people are meeting for the first time and they actually have to get married, and it will be on their record that they got a divorce. Like one couple did that. The girl was crazy. She was a nut. She's a flight attendant, and she just decided she there's no way you could live with her. I mean, first of all, because she was like one of these very inflexible type of people, and like when the shit hit the fan, she was just like, I'm out. Like she didn't even want to. And then she'd do the wishy-washy thing. Well, I mean, he's a really nice guy, and I mean, you know, sometimes I just think that I'm being overly hard, and it's like well, if obviously it's overly hard if you don't even know him and you want to not even make it past the second week, and they give you 6 weeks to figure it out. So anyway, but they tell you if you break up, you're going to have a divorce on your record. Yeah. Can you guys imagine? Like this is a show. They had 30,000 applicants and they picked 3. There are 30,000 people that were willing to marry someone that they had never met before until they were on the altar. And they're supposed to invite like a best man. It's like supposed to be like a wedding. Like they're supposed to like kiss each other and like take wedding photos where they're kissing. It's like the whole thing. It's like riveting television, I'm going to tell you. And I am not a television person. Like if I watch TV, it's usually the news or like it's like the Death Channel where everybody's getting, you know, someone's getting killed. It's like true crime stuff. You know, I'm always looking for new ways to euthanize somebody. Let's say the McLeod Daughters on Amazon Prime. I will check it out. And then Samantha says the show is so funny. You can really see. I'm always into the sex part. Like I always want to know that. Like that one girl from Brazil, she's a tiger. You just know it. The Latina, you know, she's like and then he's like basically Asperger's. Like he's totally Asperger's. One of these guys did have Asperger's, and it was so funny because it was on the Love at First Sight one, and the girl was she was a lovely girl, lovely, and they had zero communication. But I remember when I was first married to my husband, he was one of these people that he would think he would tell you things. And this guy did the same thing. He would think he would tell her things like, no, I told you looked really nice. And she's like, actually, no, you didn't. He's like, no, I did. And she's like, no, you didn't. That used to be my husband. Like he would, like I didn't know his dad died for like a year and a half later after his dad died. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me your dad died? And he's like, oh, I thought I did. I mean, and then his brother, like it was like 6 or 8 months after his brother died that I found out his brother. I was like, well, why didn't you? I did. I was like, actually, you didn't. Like it's that, but I remember even like years into my relationship with my husband, I remember thinking not very many women could be married to him because he likes to, like he loves to, he's a listener, he loves to listen and he participates in the conversation, but he's not an initiator. So this girl she's real quiet and an introvert, and he's an introvert. And so they both wanted the other person to tell them exactly what they needed, but because they're both introverts, they couldn't, right? So it was like painfully uncomfortable. Like he didn't even hold her hand for like weeks. And she's like, what is like it's weird. I mean, imagine like being in the same house with somebody and they're not even holding your hand. And they're not telling you you're pretty, and they're not, you know, I mean, you would think that they hated you because, you know, men, I got to be honest with you, are pretty easy. I mean, when it comes to that, I mean, they don't, you know, I mean, they are. There's, you know, a few things that they're pretty easy about. And one is, you know, oh yeah, you know, I mean, that if he's there with her, he must be attracted to her, right? But in his mind, he was telling her how pretty she was, and he never once said it. The whole thing was really interesting, was fascinating. And I was like, honey, in 24 or 25 years, you're just going to think it's charming. Because you're going to know when he looks at you, what he's thinking. He won't even need to say it. But at the time, you know, she was like, really, you guys are like, why are we talking about this? This is so banal. So boring. Okay, well, what's not boring is I really do think I have my dog's diabetes under control. I think I had that completely figured out. That's not boring. Except I am out of what are they called? The glucogorics. That's the brand. You're like, what a stupid name. I know, I agree. But they actually are made in San Diego. But they're the whatever they are, the things that you put in and you put the blood on it, those little things. And I'm not using the monitor that I lost one of my friends over because it's too expensive. And every time I put one on her, it stops working after 4 days. So I have one right now. But there's a lot of people like on Medicare and stuff that have those that don't use them. So really what I should do is put something on Facebook and be like, does anybody have any of these monitors for the Libre 14 day? And I'll give them fiber for it. But then that seems like weird. Shut up! I'm telling you, I want to throat punch that dog. Does anybody want an Australian Shepherd mini that barks a lot? She is housebroke. Just kidding. Oh yeah, and Eileen bought Beulah. You guys, the Beulah, I'm telling you, it's like butter. It is so good. And I thought I saw, you guys, it was such a nightmare getting stuff listed. I actually have a bunch of more stuff that I didn't list because I didn't have to. You guys, it sounds stupid. Like well, how do you not have the time, Natalie? I don't. I'm not kidding you. Like today, I'm so behind in my shearing, you guys. I can't even tell you. I'm behind on getting the baby blankets on the babies, and I'm behind on the shearing. Like today, I was able to get only 3 in because I'm also building the website. So then what happened? Okay, here's a stupid one. So I bought the website, as you know, weddingonafarm.com. And then I set it up in GoDaddy. I have my own server for this, my Namaste Farms, the wool shampoo, and Redding Fiber Arts Preservation Society. But this other one, I just wanted to do it quick and dirty, like not have to load anything, just do a fast template, and then be able to just put the site map in the Google, into the Google webmaster, and then be able to have the web crawl it, and then have it be able to be visible, right? And then I find out after I've paid them already, and I've built this whole thing, that GoDaddy and those templates, they don't have a back end where you can't go into a cPanel, so you can't do things like add a sitemap to it. And they have a sitemap that they admit doesn't generate anything. So Google doesn't even know you exist. So unless somebody puts in your actual URL, you are never going to be found on Google. And you can't add it's so stupid. I was so pissed off. I was like, and I had spent I had taken an entire day to build it. So I was, and then the other horrible thing about that is you can't switch a domain name to another server for 60 days after you've just bought it or it's been transferred. I had just bought that domain name. So I have to build a whole nother website on a whole nother, on a different site so that I can get ratings through Google and be visible without someone having to actually know the URL. I was so pissed off, but the good news is I love the template so much. It sounds stupid that I would like a template, but I actually really loved the way it looked in GoDaddy, that I was able to just build it from scratch, almost identical. It's not identical, but it's pretty close. I got the same font, and I was able to pretty much just by, without putting in a template, I was able to pretty much make it. So it's probably going to be done tomorrow. And then I'll have to redirect. I'll have to then transfer the name, Wedding on a Farm. I'll transfer it over to this other domain host, and then have to rebuild another one. So then I would just have 2 websites that basically are the exact same thing. Because if you redirect, so why would I pay for that? Because if you redirect, Google won't put that in the search engine. So if I have like a redirect, I have my one website, then this one is TemeculaFarmWedding.com. If I have that and I direct it to Barn Farm Wedding, that one you'll never see it because it won't index those redirects. So anyway, what I end up having to do is have more than one website that I am going to have to pay for too. It just pisses me off. But just the whole thing, that I was so proud of myself that I got it built. And I was like, I'm going to take off the 2 days that I have to be packing everybody's stuff. So just know nobody's stuff's packed. I'm going to build that site. And then now it doesn't even matter that it's built. I have to rebuild a whole nother one. Is that just the stupidest thing? The Google should totally be integrated with GoDaddy and vice versa. But GoDaddy doesn't do that. Unless I think there's a way to get by and be into the cPanel, but I think because of what I bought was, it's like, $15 or it's $30 a month or something. I would have had to originate it in the other thing with the cPanel that's like way more money, and I didn't know that it wasn't a feature. Because of course you should be able to go in the back end into your cPanel of your website. It's just stupid. You guys are like, you're just talking gibberish now. You just shut up. Just shut up, Natalie. You sound like Jane barking incessantly. Don't. Okay. And then Bien says the wedding site rocks. Of course, no one's ever going to see it. And then Savi 7 Ranch. And then the thing that Shannon says, our Mustang Club got rid of GoDaddy. I know. That's why. But see, I'm glad I figured it out now. And that's what I went to do. So all your sites, you guys that have websites, you need to, it says GoDaddy says it does integrate you. They generate a sitemap for Google, but every person, when you put in Google Webmaster sitemap GoDaddy, everybody says GoDaddy. They give you one, but it doesn't work. Google doesn't read it. And if Google doesn't read it, you're not going to get indexed. It's like your site doesn't exist. And unless someone has the actual name of your website, no one's ever going to find you. Because the web bots can't crawl. And so it had so when you first, sign up for it, it has you activate all those analytics. And then there's a big blank thing where the analytics are, where it says what your analytics are, but there's nothing there and that proves to you that everything that everybody says is right, that Google can't find you because your analytics aren't showing up, even though they make you go through the motions of setting it up. I was so pissed off at the whole thing. And then it tells you how to put you have to put this text file in so that you can verify that you own the domain name. And the way that it tells you, GoDaddy tells you to do it, it didn't work. And then I found on a thread, it's always like, this just takes so much time, you guys. You're like, yeah, kind of like listening to you talk about nothing. But just so you know, if you're building your own website and then it wants you to do that and you have to verify your domain name and you go into the text files and that you have to put in an @ if you actually put in the name of your domain, it's usually the other way around. So this guy said, I put in the name of my domain instead of the @ symbol, and it didn't work. And then I was like, oh, and so I put the @ symbol. Well, I put the @ symbol and it didn't work. So then I did the opposite of what he did and it worked. And I was able to verify my domain through Google, because at first it wouldn't even let me verify that I was the owner of the domain. But GoDaddy does suck. And it's such a huge website builder, and it's such a huge hosting domain. I mean, it just makes me so irritated. Thankfully, I didn't buy all of my website names, the domain names, on GoDaddy, because I'd have to think of a new name and go to a different domain host. Otherwise, I would have to wait 60 days to have a website, because they won't let you transfer it. Anyway, you guys are like, wow, is that boring or what? Well, tell me something that you would like to talk about, and I'll talk about it. The fact that I'm so crazy about Sean, I can't, all I think about is just being around him all day long. When can I get done? When can I get done? When can I go hang out with him? That doesn't happen on Tuesdays because he goes to bed, because, I'm doing this. And so, but then I just go in there and I smell his hair, which smells like beeswax and slightly moldy dreadlocks. Beeswax and moldy dreadlocks. Oh, but my new thing is, I was thinking about this because I remember that, I don't know if you know this, but peacocks, they're omnivores, right? They eat insects, etc. So I remember a guy telling me that I should feed him cat food. I should feed them cat food, especially during breeding season. And so I think that the cat food is good because it doesn't have ash or something, right, for the kidneys. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, Ibrahim, the last pallet of dog food I got actually was half cat food. And I only have 2 barn cats, right? So, getting through, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of pounds of cat food I have. And then I was like, it just dawned on me, because I have all these meat chickens, right, that are maturing, and meat turkeys. I have 25 or 30 meat turkeys, and I have 20 left. I have 20 meat birds that are, maturing. And I was like, why am I not feeding them that cat food? So I've been feeding them wet cat food, even chicken flavor, and dry cat. They're so into it. It's like so, because you want really high protein for these meat birds. That's what the best thing for them. You don't want to feed them, not 24 hours a day, which they can't because they're not on lights, and they don't eat when they're, they sleep when it's dark. But anyway, so now I'm saving money doing that. And my chickens are making so many eggs that it's going to be really embarrassing, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a little egg sign out on the road. And I'm going to make Lacey mind it. And it's going to be on the honor system. And then I'm going to teach Lacey that she, to call me if they don't put the money in the thing. Do you know that's what they do in England? You'll drive and you'll see eggs for sale, and there'll be a bunch of cartons of eggs, and then there's a little jar. I've seen it more than once. It's a total honor system. What do you think would happen here? Yeah, I know. The jar would be gone and all the eggs. Not just the money, but the mason jar would be gone too. And they wouldn't even leave you a thank you note. Oh, and Liz says that's great info on the website. Okay, good. Because Tony, it does sound so boring to me. Were you painting? Okay, I was doing a class. I was making up the class today. I was making up the class that I did. But my fingers look like this when I'm touching. There's cobalt salt blocks. And this is what my fingers look like after the cobalt salt blocks. But this actually was blue dye. But also, besides that, I was using some of the pipe, it's what you use on the plastic pipe, PVC pipe, to connect them. I was using that today too. So it's been a very busy day. It's like cleaning one of the cottages, and then doing some stuff for waterers, and then my garden. Like we had to put, you guys, this is so funny. Naomi and I spent, and the Hawaiians spent like probably 45 minutes putting, you know how you look at grape vineyards, or they have like this netting that they put over the grapes, all over the grapes, so the birds don't steal all of the fruit, right? So I put these over because I have so many peacocks, you guys. It's like Peacock Central here, like 30 peacocks or more. And I have like 6 babies right now. So, I mean, there's a lot of peacocks. So I had this one strawberry that was totally mature. It was the first strawberry. I couldn't wait for it I just wanted it to get a little bit bigger. And I went out there, and one of the baby peacocks, and when I mean baby, I mean tiny, like tiny. It was eating it. I was so pissed off. So I bought some of that mesh, and that mesh is like $5, like for like a 35-foot long, 25-foot wide on Amazon, this mesh. So we put, I had 2 of them, so $8 worth of mesh. And so I put those all over all of these raised boxes, and all of the squash and the watermelon and all of the melons that are on the ground. And then I went out there this morning, and who's underneath it all? The mother and the 2 babies. They found like a hole to go in. I mean, the one hole, like I actually was nervous they were going to get all caught up in it, you know, and their bones are hollow. So if they get, and the peacocks are heavy, so their bones can snap very easily if they get caught in something. And how do I know? Because I've seen it happen. Like one of my birds got their leg caught in between a gate, and it trying to get away, it just snapped its leg right in half, and that was the end of it, right? So the wing's one thing, but a leg, no way. Especially with a giant long train. When they have a long train, they're just too heavy. And then I had to get her out of there, and then I watched her, and she was actually able to stand on this mesh, and the mesh was just like, we used a staple gun and just stapled it to the pallet boxes, so it wasn't even like it was that secure. It's crazy. I don't know how she was able. It was like she was walking on water. And even the babies, they didn't get caught up on it either, which I was really happy, but I was pissed off that they were inside of it eating my tomato plants. Yeah, I was not happy. Really mad, because that's a lot of work, you guys. I mean, it's a lot of work. Plus, it's a lot of money too, buying seeds and the little seedlings, etc. Okay, and then Diana says, I use that mesh on my PVC table to dry fiber. Well, that's very good. Oh, and then Sutton Kelly says, I buy from the farms that use the honor system. I love it when I find those farms prices. I actually think I am going to do it. Oh my God. Is it Delia? Delia Cortez? Cortez? I'm sorry. I'm like, clearly I don't speak Spanish, right? She's like, actually, I'm Portuguese. I don't speak Spanish, or Italian. You're like, we know that. We can tell. Let's see. And you sell our eggs here on the honor system. So far, so good. Good job. Somehow a fake camera to scare people. Oh, a fake camera. That's so funny. That's actually really funny. I should make a scarecrow. And then like have a little tray where he's got a little tray. I made a scarecrow once, and then I thought it would really help. And then I went out one day and all my Muscovy ducks were dead. So I was like, apparently the predator figured it out, that it was all a ruse, right? And then in Washington State, Minnesota, they do the honor system thing too. That's so funny. I want a cluck machine. A cluck machine. What is that? Okay, yeah, it's so good for that. Then the chicken is blue and not red, so they don't peck it. I'm reading. The blue coat. Yeah, you can't put... See, you guys, because remember, yeah, these chickens love chicken. I know my lambs love lamb. Like my lamb and rice dog food, they love to eat that. But anyway, smelling Sean's hair. Mike, yes, I smell his... Actually, I can't help but smell his hair because it's a giant... It's like this big around. His ponytail is like that big around. And like when I'm laying down with him. My husband... Did I tell you guys? I probably did, but I'm going to tell you again. He weighed Lacey and stepped on the scale. He was 128 pounds. I was like, wow. I was telling people he weighs like 140 pounds, 142 pounds. But that was apparently a long time ago. 128 pounds. My husband weighs 128 pounds. I was there. I looked at the scale. And I was like, he couldn't believe it either. Yeah. I know. I was like, okay, it's a good thing that I underweight. I mean, because then I would kind of feel bad. I don't know why I would feel bad if I weighed more than my husband. Not bad, but I'd be self-conscious probably. Why? Because I'm not used to that. That would be weird for me. I don't know. I'd feel... Why would that be weird? There's plenty of women that outweigh their husbands, but I don't know because I'm not used to it. So it would feel weird. It would feel weird. I don't think I would like that very much. I don't think so. So I'm going to start fattening them up. No, I'm not going to. He has gout, so he has to be careful. Okay, let's see. And so blue coat, yeah, so I did tell you guys, remember that my son put the red dot on the chicken's head because he wanted this one chick. And I went out there and I said, what idiot put the red dot on the chicken, because now it's been attacked by the other chickens. And then the boy said, Connery's the idiot. And I said, great, well, he's going to have to go get it and then put black on top of it. And that's what he did. I was like, a smooth move. Like, don't do that, because that's what makes them, peck at it. Let's say. And then, this is the only thing I thought about the name Temecula Farm Wedding, is that it's so specialized. But I have you guys, I can just make the exact same. I can duplicate the website and then activate Farm Barn Wedding. Barn Farm Wedding. Barn Farm Wedding.com. I can do that one too. Because farmwedding.com unfortunately is taken. But who is that? Oh, that's not my kid. My daughter's leaving. Yeah, and do you like how I can watch all the goings on and just listen to the dogs bark and the roosters crow, etc., etc., etc. Other than that, though, oh, there is one thing. Okay, so did I know it by then? Did I already tell you this? I don't think so, that I had that really good thing happen where somebody canceled. I think I already did. Did I tell you guys about, you guys are like, no one wants to tell me that I'm crazy. Except for, well, no, actually there are like, do you love that there's always one person that hates this? Because, they can't, like, I make it so that, because, people can say such mean things, and I quite frankly don't want to hear it. I don't. Like, you get enough criticism in life. I've always wondered why people activate the comments. Because you can activate the comments if you, like, you can have them be under review. So if somebody comments on your video after it's recorded, you can allow it to be seen, right? That's just so much better for me, in my opinion. I've never understood why. I mean, there must be a reason. Maybe your website, maybe you get better ratings more quickly. But the people are so mean that there's no I just would never want to, like, subject myself to that, because even when it's subjected for review, like, they can say really mean things. Anyway, though, so I have it so, even they can't see ratings or anything, because, I don't know. I'm not a person that ever looks, when someone will say on Ravelry or whatever, they put a thumbs down. Like, I don't look at those things ever, because why would you want to upset yourself? So I would never, that's just not something I would ever look at. It's irrelevant, because it might have been someone's mood. It just doesn't matter. And there are plenty of things, like there's some really inspirational things on YouTube that, how can you not like them? And there'll be like, 500 dislikes. It's like, how does someone dislike, like, hey, shut up. Does anybody want a dog? Jane, do you want your voice box removed with this pen? I'd like to stick it down her throat right now. She'll bark right in your ear as you're telling her to not. Knock it off. Nobody wants to hear your voice. She's really cute, though. I'm going to show you her face. Despite the fact that she can't stand her voice. She's a really good dog. Okay, get ready. Oh, my God. Ugh. Doesn't she have a cute face? Wait, look right there. Look right. You're not going to do it. Right there. She's got a cute face. Please stop barking. You're like, wow, for a mini, she's pretty big. Yeah, she's not very small. She is not very small. Okay. She's got 2 different color eyes. That's what I think is really cool. I've met 2 people in my life like that. Let's see. Sherry. She's like, I won't use GoDaddy. Don't. Scott, Jane. I'm reading, you guys. I'm sorry. And then, and then Vienne says, yeah. Yeah, I do. And then Samantha is right now, she's heavier than her husband, and it's very weird to me, but I'm losing weight. I don't know, it just would bother me. And then Liz says, I outweigh my husband. Yeah, but some men like that. See, my husband, my husband's just he's like I'm told, if someone's heavy, I don't care. I could care less. I really could. I mean, I've had boyfriends that were like 300 pounds, like, and I totally loved him. That's all I saw was beauty, right? So I don't care. But there are some men that are superficial. My husband happens to be one, and he likes really thin women. But it's probably because he's not super huge. Why is someone parked out there in a car that I don't recognize? Why? Let me think about that. There is a car out there that I don't recognize. You guys are like, stop doing that. I swear I want to take you guys out on the farm, because like I'm not kidding you. And I want to be able to, I want to share and like show you guys. And you're like, then why don't you? It's the internet that makes me nervous because we're wired in right now. So that computer is wired directly into the internet. So it would have to go wireless. And that just adds a whole nother dimension to the, whether or not your internet will work. I don't know. Why is someone out there? You're like, stop being so paranoid. I'm not really paranoid. It's just weird. I always think it's going to be, I always think it's either the census because you guys, I don't know, if any of you have been following me for like 6 months, and you know that I had a massive fight with the census, and I freaking dug my heels in over that one. Like, I mean, the second they start threatening me, I'm like, gloves are off. Because, like that old saying, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, that applies to me. And the oppositional defiant disorder, the second a government official tells me I have to do something, is the moment in which both of my middle fingers go up in the air, and I'm like, yeah, make me. It's just some weird thing. It's like, I can't even help it. It's like, once again, it's the Jack Russell chasing the rabbit. It's like the second that happens, it just activates my, yeah, watch me not do it. I'm digging my heels in. You're like, wow, you must be really easy to get along with. I'm terribly not easy to get along with. Okay, let's see. Oh, Ike wants her. Thank God. Oh my God. Somebody says, I taught my dog to use inside voice when she barks. You can't teach this dog, I'm telling you. And then Ike says, I'm heavy. I'm a chubby chaser. And then Linda says that her dog's barking. It's probably because my dog's barking for sure. And then Samantha was saying that she was skinny and she gained so much weight. Yeah, this is the thing. It doesn't, if it bothers you, then you have to care about it. But if it bothers other people, who cares? Oh my gosh. Hi, Carol. How are you doing? And Carol says, how about over 6 years? Yes, Carol, you've been a good friend for a long time. And not do it live. What if I did it and not do it live? I could totally do that, Shannon. It's not as fun then because then I can't talk to you guys though. I mean, I have a lot of those where I like, yesterday, like I was, oh my God, my goats, you guys. The thing is that I have to prioritize because I'm so behind that like I look out there and I say, okay, I have so many that are overgrown, but what is the most important? Like, is the most important I have to go by, is someone's blanket too small and it's going to cut into them? That's the the priority would go like that. So if someone's sick, so I go out there to shear, I see someone sick, lambs are sick, coccidiosis, right? And then I see blankets are too small. So then I get involved with the coccidiosis, treating that, cutting off any of the areas with tags, and cleaning them up, giving them, usually I give them some penicillin and some genicin, and for good measure. And then, I give them a coccidiostat. And then I, that's going to take a while. Then the ones with too small blankets, then that's going to take a while. And then by the time I get done doing that, then waters are starting to get empty. So I start filling waters. So then, and then by the time I get done doing that, then it's, the Airbnb people are leaving, and now I have to clean those, and that's going to take a couple hours. And you can see how the day, like I can't even tell you how fast the day goes. And all I wanted to do was shear. And that has happened. It just keeps happening. And so for like months, I'm so behind. So then finally, I got everything dialed in yesterday to where I actually got like 5 Angora goats done. And I had to throw away 3 of the fleeces. And then I'm like, okay, now because you have to get the fleeces off of those ones, because you just, once they can't thermoregulate very well. Like if a sheep was overgrown, oh well. But the Angora goats, they just don't they just really don't. So I got, and then I'm underneath all of that, they're just fat as pigs. They really are fat as sticks, which is good. So then I'm like, okay, what fleeces can I salvage? Like what ones are not so far? So then that's how my priority goes. After everybody's fixed, after I've gotten the ones that look way too overgrown and are mad and can't thermoregulate, then I go to the ones that if the sheep are overgrown, oh well, I just do the ones that their fleeces are still good. So then today I sheared some and all the fleeces were amazing. They're yearling fleeces and really, really good. You're like, wow, who gives a shit? And then you have to worry about the goats too because they'll get lice, right? And once they get lice, then that fleece is ruined. So even if it wasn't felted, if you leave it on, you're just asking for them to get lice. And if they have lice, you have to throw the fleece away. It's not going to transmit to you, but it's disgusting. It's disgusting, and lice are protein. So if they have lice really bad and you dye the fiber, you'll see the lice. And isn't that pretty? And they pick up dye differently. So like I have a picture of it, you guys, that somebody posted, what is this in this fleece? And people are like, oh, how pretty is that? And it was little flecks of green in this green, like chartreuse fleece. And those were all lice. It was filled with lice. It's disgusting. So anyway, so yeah, that's the problem with Angora goats. Having Angora goats is that, you know, the timeline for shearing them, it's just you're always, I mean, you could be like, I just want to get to 6 inches, and then they get lice. And you're like, great, now I've had 6 months of fleece where I can't, and now I can't, I have to throw it out. And then Sean, like this morning, I was losing my shit too, because I am so behind, and I'm just now starting to, like in the last couple of days, I've been able to shear, I want to say altogether maybe like 15 in between, you know, doctoring and et cetera, and I have to move animals, and I had to take blankets off of some of my Corriedales and rinse them down. You have to rinse them before you, and then let them dry for 2 days. So you have to put them in a paddock without hay, you know, like a grass paddock for 2 days or something, so that the fleece, when you shear them, the fleeces are beautiful and not like smashed. And so anyway, there's all this, and then I have like 20 Corriedale babies. I have to shear all of those before putting the first blanket on. You guys, I'm telling you, I probably have, if I was, you know, if I had nothing else to do, I could easily get, you know, 30 or 40 done, you know, and of course, a professional shearer can peasy get, you know, 300 done in a day in, like, you know, New Zealand, they'll work 12-hour days. But me, you know, I'm not that big, and they're, you know, I have to fight, and I have to blow them off. I have to drag them to the shearing stand. No one's bringing them to me. I have to skirt it right there, you know, and so the most I could do really in a day would be like 20. That's the most. And usually, I mean, if I did 15, I'd give myself a medal. And then probably have like a case of beer afterwards, and then sleep for 3 days. Just kidding. But no, and the hard thing about that is kind of like wearing heels. If you don't wear heels, your feet won't be able to handle wearing heels, so you have to wear them every day. It's like shearing, you know, you can't not shear for like 2 months and then expect that you're going to be able to go throw down. I mean, you'll be a cripple. I mean, really, because, you know, it's the bending and keeping your knees really tight. You have to keep your knees really tight so that they can't get away from you. And so it's like you're bending over and keeping your knees kind of tight, and, you know, having to wrangle them and hold them and be able to roll them. And it's just super physical. And they're fighting for their life, some of them, especially the fat ones. The fat ones, because they can't breathe. And so, like, they think that they're going to suffocate. And you're like, you're not going to suffocate. I'm going to get done in a couple of minutes if you don't fight. But if you fight, it could take like 10. Wow, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm looking. I know, and if I didn't do I know. That's the thing too, my business, like so I got another, oh my God, and the hay, like my hay, the hay that he sent me, oh my God, you guys, so good. This guy sent me such great hay, and it was one of these times when I didn't know him, and I gave him money outright twice, and he came through for me. So, like, right now I have, it sounds so much more impressive when you put it into thousands of pounds, but I think I have 46,000 pounds. No, I have 23 tons times 2.5. So like 46,000, 56,000, like 60,000 pounds of hay is what I have, somewhere around there right now, which is making me, when I walk outside, that is some stress off of me, because it's here, and it's gonna, you know, it'll keep me probably through the summer, I think. Because these are, I mean, it might actually be a little bit more than that, probably, these giant bells, but it is a pain in the ass to undo those giant bells, you guys, with those giant flakes. Because with the giant bells, most people, I'm sure, don't feed it by the flake. Like, I have to unflake it. Like, I can't just take one in my paddocks, because none of the paddocks, I could, but they would be way overfed, and they're already too fat. And this is straight alfalfa, so, you know, that I'd be giving them, these bales are like 800 pounds each. So I'd be giving them an 800 pound bale when they only actually need maybe 150 to 200 pounds each of these paddocks. And then they would just eat all night long and all day long. And, you know, it's hard to get your ewes pregnant if they're fat. It's hard to get their ewes. And so, okay, so here's some dirt. So one of the gals that I buy fleece from she's a pretty big breeder of a long wool sheep. And so she was, I bought like 300 pounds of fleece from her. So, she was talking to me, she was like, I was thinking about getting a Teeswater cross onto my other long wools. And she said, I was, contacted a gal, and I wanted, you know, some information, and she just won't send me pictures, even though they're for sale. And then the lady was telling me she was OPP free. And I said, that's because she knows you're OPP free. Because if you told me, you told her, and she doesn't want you to test her animals. It's a dirty trick. It's a dirty trick. Because, like, one of the original flocks of Teeswaters had OPP and CL, which is, CL is like caseous lymphadenitis, that they produce these, like, really horrible cheesy gland pus, these horrible encapsulated pus balls. And, like, it's zoonotic, so humans can get it. So, and, you know, let's say you're shearing and you hit your finger and you hit one of those and you break it open, you can conceivably get CL. So, and this is the most disgusting thing. You can still, if you slaughter animals with CL, as long as you cut that out, you can still sell the meat. Like if the USDA sees that, unless things have changed, but like a couple of years ago, an animal could have CL because it's an encapsulated pus ball. And so I was watching the Dr. Pimple Popper when I was at one of it was like Stitches or something, and I've never seen it before. And like she's like, oh look, it's like cottage cheese, and it looked exactly like CL, but they wouldn't call it CL. They wouldn't call it CL, but it has to be a relative. It's like Clostridium pseudotuberculosis. Disgusting. It's disgusting and huge. I mean, it's so disgusting. And anyway, so one of the gals that her flock had both OPP and CL, and so like she's selling her animals to people, and because she's like one of the founders of the breed, right? So of course nobody's thinking that a founder of a breed, but so the lady, she's not alive anymore, and I think her husband's probably dead too. But the fact of the matter is that the animals are worth a lot of money, and a lot of people just lie. And that's just a sad thing. It's a sad fact of life. But anyway, I, of course, advised her against getting them. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Shannon says, hubby just put up over 2,500 bales of very pretty grass hay. Jealousy button, jealousy button. Let's see. Oh my gosh, so Samantha says she hasn't sheared in 2 years, and she's going to shear 40 alpacas in 50. I love llama fiber. I love llama fiber. And then Jody says, Samantha, are you in Oregon? Can you come shear my 2 Angora goats? My shear is in the Midwest shearing, and my goats are due. What about Jody? Do you live near Sharon Chestnut? I'm not saying she has time, but she is very loving, and she's a great person. And if she lived near you, I bet you she would do it. Do you like how I volunteer? And then Linda says, I'm going to have to I have to put up 123 bales of hay next Saturday. I'm going to die. No, you'll be fine. But if you're stacking it yourself, you'll just be sore. Let me see. Yeah, shearing. So anyway, so a gal came and stayed with me, stayed here, and she had her daughter was like, I want to say in high school or something. And so her mom, some people, when they're trying to relate to you, they just come off as assholes. So her mom's like, we have Angora goats. I see you have them too. And I was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, oh, who did you buy your goats from? She's like, Alan Messick. I was like, I know Alan really, really well. And she's like, you do? And I was like, yeah, I used to show with him all the time. I said, and I had him on my blog talking, and yeah, I know him really well. And because Alan Messick is like a god in the rabbit, because they guess they show rabbits too. And then her daughter goes, yeah, I just sheared for the first time this weekend. And I was like, oh, that's really brave of you, because they have all the skin folds and etc. This is such a typical Southern California response, right? Not mine, hers. She goes, oh no, I didn't do it. I mean, someone came and did it. Okay, when you say I just sheared for the first time this weekend, there's really no other interpretation. You said I just did it. You didn't say the shearer came to shear. The proper thing would have been my goats were shorn the first time. For the first time this weekend, I had a shearer come and do it. Right? You wouldn't say I just sheared for the first time. Like it's just like I looked at it. I said, oh, okay, totally different. I said completely different. It's completely different than shearing. Like watching someone shear is really different than actually shearing them. I'm just like, because one, you're a spectator, and the other one, you're actually actively participating where you could get hurt and cut your finger off or kill them, right? People are just so funny. Whatever. Anyway, the lady was nice though. They left the place immaculate. So yeah, and Ellie Mae says good fiber shears are few and far between. It's true. And actually, I was explaining that to my Hawaiians, like they're mine now. My Hawaiians. As I said, what's funny is like the shearers typically care about what this animal looks like afterwards, meaning, that it's all flat and level and perfect, right? I don't give a shit about what the animal looks like, quite frankly. I care about if I've come up off the fleece, did I leave it on the animal? I want it on the animal because it'll be there next time. Right? Because it happens, especially with a solid down tube, it flips around, and then you'll be going, through a pass, and the articulation will come and it'll come back sometime, especially if you're not on complete level ground. The down tube will flip around, and it comes pretty quickly and fast, and it will pull my hand off of the animal if it comes too quickly, right? So, because you're doing like this, and then all of a sudden you're not on level ground, and then your articulation is quick, and then the down tube, the elbow of it comes out like this, swings around, it just misses your head, right? But as it does, that momentum pulls your hand up off the animal for maybe just a second, right? So, anyhow, if that happens, I don't go back over the animal that like where it just came up like that much. There's like this much fleece on the animal. I leave it for next time, right? But I care that my fleece doesn't have a bunch of second cuts in it, right? But like a lot of shearers care about the way the animal looks, so they're going to shear it off, and then you're going to have those second cuts. So like it's really true. It's hard to find, and that's the exact term, someone that is a good fiber shearer, someone that understands that we don't. Okay, so like if you came off the animal, and there's no way not to at times. It just happens. They're fighting or whatever. It just happens. And there's some blind passes. Like there's two blind passes. The first blow is a blind pass, and then when you come up and you do your first blow under the neck, that's a blind pass. So you can't see, and this is really delicate because obviously the jugular's there, right? So especially me, I will usually leave a little bit of fleece there, because if I press too hard, the chances of me like hooking one of the, pieces of the comb, especially the flare tip, it'll catch something. And if you press too hard, then you'll just be dragging and cutting the entire time. And I've cut them like this long, right? So, they'll go back and like clean it up, and I leave it because I don't want it in my fleece. And because it's a waste. So second cuts, that's the thing. So there's a difference. So someone may look at an animal that a regular shearer has done and say they're a way better shearer than me, but then the fleece is full of second cuts, right? And for me, my fleece won't be full of second cuts, but the animal won't look as good. Because I honestly, and like if I don't get every single bit of, wool off of the testicles, like that's another delicate area. And especially if I'm using like a 9-point, and you guys on a 9-point, so the combs, the way they are is the points of the comb are like how many teeth it has, right? So the wider the teeth, if there's only 9 points, the teeth, that's wide enough, it can literally cut the end of my finger off. It can cut an entire teeth off. It can cut a pizzle off. Like it's really wide. And so you have to be really careful. You can fit their hamstring in there. And I've done that and they had to be put down. So, you have to be really super careful with those. I mean, really super, super careful, because they're deadly. They're deadly. And I'm always aware of that when I'm shearing with 9 points, which is what I use on the Corriedales, which they also have a lot of skin folds. So, the Corriedales can get cut. They can definitely get cut, especially with the 9-point. But it makes it much easier to get through the dense fleece when there's not a whole bunch of combs and a whole bunch of teeth. Okay, Heather O says, I recently found a sheep I was interested in close to me. They got all indignant when I asked about OPP testing, and they say, I have a clean flock. My flock is FDA approved. Well, as if. Okay, just to let you know, FDA approved, federal, no, it would be the USDA, and they don't even do that. The OPP testing, they're so full of shit. FDA approved, that's not even the right term. So stupid. And I can't tell you, the person that I'm talking about that said she didn't have OPP. I've been told that I've been told this. I can't even tell you exactly what happened to you is really the truth. That happens very commonly, and what they do too. So what happens is, because CL went around, the one that I'm talking about, Casey's the pseudotuberculosis, that people would vaccinate for it. And when you vaccinate for it, you'll have a titer for it forever. So you can't tell if the animal has it or if they were vaccinated for it. So that's the way people just covered up for it. So if their flock has CL, they just vaccinate and say, no, it's from the vaccination. But why would you vaccinate for it if you don't have it? You could say, I guess one could argue that it's because you're showing them and you're taking them to places, but typically, you're not going to see an animal. I mean, I have seen animals with CL lumps there, but CL lumps, sometimes people think that the lumps from vaccination, because it makes an immune response. So under the arms of my sheep, there will be a lump always. And I actually appreciate it if there's a lump, because by how many lumps they have tells me how many vaccinations I gave them. So I don't have to I can just look and I can see they had a reaction. So they've got 2 bumps, they've had 2 vaccinations. I need to hit them with 1 more, right? That's how I know. But, there's a big difference between a CL bump, which is a lump that is quite large and round and encapsulated, and the small little bump that they have from being vaccinated. But there would be you'd have to have an open wound, and the animal would have had to, the abscess would have had to have burst and then like drain out, and then it somehow transmit. That's the only way. I mean, it would be. I mean, if you were only concerned about getting the CL from going to a show, that would be no reason to make your entire flock test positive for it. The only reason to do that is because you've had it. I mean, I had them and I got rid of them because I had them from that lady with the other flock. This was like 10 years ago. But I was really smart. I kept all of my tease waters from her in one flock because they were the highest percentage ones. So they were in this one flock together. And so her animals, I just knew that those were the ones that you had to always keep clean shaven because they came from a CL flock. It doesn't mean that they're all going to have it, but you have to keep their fleeces really short, and you have to keep on them. And then OPP testing, you have to wait till they're like, what is it? Is it 7 months old or 8 months old? Most of them you have to wait till they're a little bit older, and they'll seem like they're fine. The usual pattern for animals with OPP is like you'll have a ewe. People don't know that they have OPP. I know someone that got it from shipping their animals with OPP, shipping their animals in a closed container from Rhinebeck, and she has a very large flock too, a huge flock, and she got OPP and she was clean. And it took her a long time to clean up her flock. Yeah, that was bad. So why is OPP so bad? Well, the reason it's bad is because, in the wool business, we'll keep our animals past like 4 or 5, and it's ovine progressive pneumonia, so they don't really have any symptoms when they're young, but as they get older, you'll notice that, maybe her first year of lambing, she'll have twins, her second year of lambing, she'll have like a single, and then her third year of lambing, she'll be barren, and then her fourth year of lambing, she might have one and it dies, and then her fifth year of lambing, it kind of goes like that, so it's a production issue. Right, she might look fine, but it's passed on, typically through the colostrum. So, and and they can also, it doesn't live for very long. It does not live for very long outside of the body, from bodily fluids. But it can be passed on that way. But the point is that, it's an actual concern because if the animals are terminal, think about this. If I have meat animals only, and that's the people that spread this around in the tease waters, they had meat animals before, and your meat animals typically are going to be, they're terminal, so they're going to be slaughtered before the age of 18 months. So you're never going to see the effects of CL. And typically, if the ewe has ram lamb and a ewe lamb, you're going to use the ewe lamb as a replacement for the mother. So the mother would probably be gone by 3. So once again, if she's gone by 3 because you have her daughter, and that's your replacement, you want the younger you want the younger ewe lambs, and then the boys, are terminal, right? Very few boys you're going to keep. Then it doesn't matter if you have these things because you've got this constant, exit of animals in the meat animals. But if you have wool animals, and the wool animals can, produce till they're like between 5 and 8, really good fiber, then suddenly these diseases matter because you're typically not gonna see any of the effects till like they're, like I said, 3 or 4. But now you are keeping animals past 3 and 4. So now you have a flock where, you have not only the daughters that have contracted it from the mother, but the mother is now like 3 and she missed a year and she had a single and then she had one die. And so it's all this production loss. So that's why it matters in wool sheep. And so that's because people have asked me several times why on earth somebody that was starting in a breed would not tell people or would not care that they had CL or OPP. And then I just explained it that way. Because for them, they weren't thinking these are, they were still thinking like a commercial flock, like a commercial shepherd. And these sheep aren't commercial flocks. They're ones that we keep way longer and the numbers are way lower. So it's just a bummer because, you buyer beware, my friends, buyer beware. Have everything tested. And quarantine. You have to quarantine. And test them yourself. Don't even listen to them. You test them yourself. And then Heather says, I know, that's why I knew they were full of it. I don't even know who says FDA approved. FDA approved. It's just the most ridiculous thing. The FDA wouldn't even touch it. It would be USDA, and I don't even think the USDA, the only thing they have is the scrapie program, which they basically abolished except for export. Oh, and then Sabe 7 Ranch said that is a great explanation. Yeah, so I'm not saying, because it's one thing when you think about that. Well, I had to really think about it. And the reason why I know is because I am an animal scientist. And so in school, they taught us about production animals, right? And that you're always going to use the daughters for replacements, right? And that you really want to slaughter them. You want to get rid of them before they're 4 years old. All of them, because lamb ends at 18 months, and then now it's mutton. So you're only using that ewe lamb. You're using her to breed her as a yearling, right? And you're only going to be breeding her for a couple of years, and then she's done, and she's just going to be mutton, right? She's going to go to dog food or whatever, people, use mutton for, or the ethnic market, right? You just would never keep them, a commercial flock wouldn't really, a commercial flock of many thousands is not going to keep sheep that are past like 5 years old. And also, that's the other thing that's hard, because scrapie, which is mad cow and sheep, also is one of these late onset diseases, right? So you don't know it's in your flock, because because before there was no live animal testing. There is live animal testing now. There was only, you had to look at the brain. So that was the thing, is that here these animals are contracting scrapie, and you don't know, because you don't see any neurological problems until they're like past 2 years old typically. And so it's once they're past 2, it's been propagating, and it might not, past 2 is when they show it, but it doesn't mean they're going to show it at 2. They could show it at 4, they could show it at 6, they could show it at 8, and I keep animals, there's ones that are really awesome. Like I have, Angora goats that I have, 12, 13 years old. I think the longest I've ever had one was like 14. It's pretty hard in this heat to have animals. Sheep never live that long for me. I think the oldest sheep I've ever had was like 8 years old. And, that I want, typically I will get rid of them before that. But ones that I've wanted to keep for whatever reason, 8, and then, you go out there one day and they're dead. So it's just hard on them. And then Jen Eddington says, cornrows here in Tasmania are not wrinkly. They are they were invented here, which is pretty awesome, because I was talking about that I talk about this a lot when I do agricultural tours here. I talk about how it used to be that there's a correlation between wool fineness and skin folds, right? These wrinkles, and so but then from selective breeding that they've been able to change that, But aren't there's like there's some weird name, like not Supermax, but it's something that's like some name for some of these breeds. It's like it's a name that you wouldn't normally, because it's not like something like let's say it's not like Merino, and it's not like Cormo, it's not like Targi. It's like some name that you would never think was a sheep breed, a sheep's name. I don't know, but Jen has a big flock. She knows. Then okay, Samantha said, how's the sweater knit along? I think people finish. Yeah, but speaking of which, someone was supposed to, well, this is it's not a problem. Kristen's been gone for a month. So, that's part, she, blame it on her. It's really good because she's not here. So, no, but I think we're supposed to do a giveaway for the people that finished it. We're supposed to pick one and, give away, I can't remember, was it a $50 gift certificate? I think it was, right? It was something like that. Not like our $50. It was just $50. Wasn't it $50? I think we have it written down. Don't worry. But yeah, so I'm waiting till Kristen gets back, because I think she knit one. So Trishan finished hers. I don't know who finished. Of course I didn't finish mine. But mine's I'd say an eighth of the way done. You're like, wow. Well, in California we can wear sweaters like that. An eighth of the way done. It's also called like a cowl. It actually is like a cowl, because it's just like this bottom up sweater. Guys, I'm so overly busy. It's absurd. And then Shannon says, I'm not done. I should put a post on that. Maybe I should put a post on that. And then, Diana said, what is typical lifespan? I did answer that. And then Ellie Mae says, my formal ram is so wrinkly. And the wrinkles, those are tough. No, Kent says, did you know who came to visit outside? No, I don't know who it is. And it's like a nice car. It's a nice car. I think. It looks like a nice car, but I don't know who it is. It might be someone for my daughter. I'm not sure. Hi, Nina Lee. Is it Lee? Nina Lee 11. Is it Lee or Lee? Lee. Nina Lee. Nina. She's like, no, it's Nina Leia. Nina. She's like, just don't even try, Natalie. You're just dumb. Did you guys hear? Okay, so Memorial Day, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but they were like naming. Was it Memorial Day? Veterans Day? What one was just last? Was it Memorial? Doesn't matter. They were naming all of, the point is they're naming all of the people killed in action, right? And they had apparently people that were in high school. And this is just a testament to the schools in America. The girl's probably 16 years old. Derek Johnson. I'm not like names that were not even hard. And okay, you're gonna say, don't be mean, Natalie. She was nervous. No, 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 no. This girl couldn't read. She couldn't read. Like she was one of these people that would be like, and the dog went to the studio, and you're like, okay, now you're gonna make me feel bad, and you're gonna be like, they did a thing where they had disabled people doing it. Don't even do that. No, this girl was like not. She was like, I don't know, for whatever reason they had. Maybe it was from some school, and each of them agreed to like read 100 of them. But I'm just gonna say for the record, I wouldn't do it if I knew that I wasn't very good at reading out loud. You're like, well, you write on the whiteboard and we can't read it because your handwriting is atrocious. That is true. That is true. I will give you that. But no, seriously. So I have I had a friend, and she worked for us for quite a while, and she could sing. She sung like a songbird. I mean, she really did. That's why Sean actually went to Los Angeles recording school, because her voice was stunning. Like it wasn't stunning, like it was like kind of quirky and cool, but really good, and always, I mean, she didn't really hit bad notes. She just really, really good. It was very reminiscent of oh my God, Gwen Stefani, kind of like just a cool voice, kind of unusual, but so Sean, is going to recording school, and then he has equipment and starts recording with her, and she could never double herself. She could never. The second she got in front of somebody, she would fall apart and would. I mean, her nerves would get to her every time. Like she could not sing in public. It was the nuttiest thing. So then, and this was like widely known. She was like, I don't know why, unless she was drunk and doing karaoke, then she could do it. And so it was really frustrating for my husband too, because like it took him a year to get this right. And then there was all this equipment, and she was so good. She was so good, but she couldn't do it. She just couldn't. She couldn't pull it off. And so anyway, her brother is a really well-known, what is the motorcycle, the freestyle motocross people that go like do the flips and things like that, really well known, right? With, I guess it was Metal Militia, and he would like travels all over, and like he's doing like with the X Games, etc. And he's like, hey, do you want to sing at the national anthem? The national anthem, you guys. The national anthem. Nobody except for Whitney Houston can sing. If anybody says you want to sing the national anthem, say no. Because like the national anthem is like the world's hardest song to actually hit the notes, right? I mean, how many people actually sound good singing the national anthem? Very few, right? He's like, so I can get you the gig singing the national anthem at the X Games. And she's like, yeah, that sounds... Let me just tell you, like, I looked at my husband, and he looked at me, and I'm like, have you lost your mind? Like, I'm not trying to be a downer Debbie here, but like, she falls apart the second the mic's on, she would fall apart. But no, my first gig publicly, not drunk and not at karaoke, is going to be at the X Games. Thankfully, she took our advice. Her brother said she was stupid. It could have been a great opportunity. You guys, the national anthem of all songs. I still think about that. You got to know your limitations, my friend. Know your limitations. Okay. La-di-da-da-da-da-da. Rolling skin, not tight wrinkles. Rolling skin. I like rolling skin because then also you can pull it. And then Allison Blair says public speaking isn't something I did until college. Public speaking, I actually got out of it. I think I told you guys that. I got out of it. I got Dr. Plummer, who was a vet science teacher, and he was not my advisor, but it was the class he was teaching that I had to give like a bunch of speeches. And he said if I could get the mental health at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo to say that it wasn't worth me public speaking, that he would let me out of all of them. And all of the speeches, and I said okay, and I went there, and they gave me a note and said she doesn't have to do it, because that's how horrified I was. I was absolutely like just, and it's funny because I public speak all the time now. Is that crazy? But I really thought that I mean that's why we shouldn't limit ourselves, and especially when we're young. I just wasn't ready for it, but then now I do it all the time. Oh, Linda Lightcap undercover, you little devil dog, you. Actually, I think I look really bad, but thank you, Ellie. That makes me feel better, because I even told my husband I look terrible. New ewes to crossbreed. So excited. What kind of ewes? And then when are you thinking about starting the Igawa sweater pattern again? Allison Blair. Okay, Allison Blair, but I have to do it. Okay, so after I get done with these two, I don't have, because guys know this year I haven't traveled very much. Last year I traveled like twice a month, right? So I'm still behind from all of that. And I'm, just, it's like you guys, my life is just overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. But after I do these two, I don't travel. I don't have any more gigs. None. Zero. So I have like this time to get caught up on everything and actually maybe enjoy my life a little bit. Well, I can't enjoy my life because I'm too busy trying to not lose my farm. But I mean, like I might be able to do that. And I mean, it's the knitting is not. I don't even hate it. But what I hate is that I have the pressure to do it and I'm not doing it because I'm so. And also, I'm such a perfectionist that I just frog things. Like I get, halfway done and I frog it. Okay, I get a quarter of the way done. But because it's just one of these things where I'm not a person who will keep going on a project just to finish it, just because I want it done. It has to actually, I have to be committed to it. I have to be committed to it, knowing that it's going to fit well and it's going to look good and it's the right color. I don't just knit for fun. I knit because I would have to. That's why I knit. Why I knit? Because I have to. But it is kind of, it does mesmerize you a bit. And then Allison, okay, well, we're extending it. I'm going to put an extension up. We're extending it till July 1st. And then Jen says, my oldest sheep is 15. He's an old pet Corey. I like that you guys have to bring up the knitting sweaters. The knitting, it made me feel terrible. Oh, and then Ellie Mae says, I'm not a breeding expert by any means, so if I see something dumb, I say dumb stuff all the time. My ram has rolling skin, mostly neck areas, forehead. He's so ugly, he's cute. I like that. I like the little Sharpay ones. Cheap beer and Flamin Hot Cheetos, baby. Hi, Mary Caldwell. And then Trey says, I'm only halfway, so I wasn't going to be giving the money away anyway at this point. I'm supposed to be going to the UK in July, but I don't know when I'm going to be making this happen. And the other thing, oh my God, you guys, it stresses me out so bad. I haven't packed anything for Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's like freaking me out, you guys. I just have not done anything. I did not do anything. But I will tell you, if it wasn't for Roberta, my girl, I wouldn't have got any of the sale done because Roberta, like I had gotten up early. I was like started listing stuff in May 26th. And by the time I was putting it online, I forgot, I had to it took me so long to put all the pictures online because I forgot what they were like and I forgot the description, but I can remember it for a couple of days afterwards. So, and this time I put up 125 lots and I have a ton more. I just, I've got to get, I'm leaving on Thursday, well, late Thursday, but I have got to get these animals sheared and I have to get I've got to get my goats deloused. And then, the coccidiosis, and you see, coccidiosis, people typically think coccidiosis makes them have diarrhea, but they're just poor doers. Like in my kind of weather, they don't have that. They just become very horrible looking. They look really skinny and small and stunted and, kind of sucked in. I'm talking about sheep, by the way, not my children. And then, and you have to treat them repeatedly, if it's just a coccidia stat, because stat just means like stop it. It doesn't mean like eradicate, kill. So, and that's easiest to do. And if I have to use the coccidia, the one that actually kills them, then a coccidicide, then I have to like use the DMSO and it's toxic and their breath smells horrible. And if I get it on me, I smell like garlic because it's just a chemical. It's disgusting. But that's what I have to dilute it with. And so, anyway, you're like, so what? Who cares about coccidiosis? Well, it doesn't stunt them terribly. And then I lost 6 chickens during the heat, and you guys are like, really, and that really bummed me out. I'm realizing that my turkeys I don't have a big enough pen for that many turkeys. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking I was going to free range them in this big, like quarter or half acre pasture. But the thing is I'm afraid that they're going to get killed because they're going to roost, and then I'm not going to be able to keep track of them because they'll start roosting in all these different places, right? So it's okay if they were to roost kind of around the same place, then I would just set the livestock guardian over there. But because now they're going to start going in their little pods. But see, we don't have to keep them alive that long, because that's what happened with my other turkeys, because I had like, I want to say 18 or 19 turkeys, and then they ended up getting eaten, mostly by my dog. Not this dog, but another dog that I had. It's dead now. But he would kill turkeys. I would just be so pissed off. I would be so pissed off because I'd come and I'd be like, there's black feathers everywhere. And I'm like, great. He just killed one of my black Spanish turkeys. I think that's what they're called. Anyway, it's irritating. Okay, wait. Let me see this. Ellie Mae, Ella May, Ella May. let's say, do you straight dose the meds for cocci or dilute? I think straight dose. So I use the Baycox, but I don't use Baycox. I use, it's Tolcher, the active ingredient. I buy that from China. The active ingredient in Baycox is what I buy. And so it's not diluted at all. It's like, it's like straight, instead of having any sort of fillers or anything. And so it's really potent. And then I dilute it into the DMSO. And it's just vile smelling. My whole house, again, DMSO, it freezes at a very high temperature. Actually, it's frozen. Like, I don't know what the freezing temperature is, but it's somewhere like 55 or 60 degrees. I mean, it's like crazy. It's like totally frozen at like 55 degrees. So I have to go then like heat it up in the microwave, and it makes my whole house smell. It's just so toxic. It's really gross. And I hate smelling. And then it eats through your gloves. It eats through your gloves. So there's really no way to not get it on your hands. I'm like, we won't be having sex tonight because I smell like DMSO. Hi, Jane Campbell. I love the yarn. I know I felt bad because I wanted to send her yarn so quickly that I didn't put any tags on them. Because I have these tags that say like the yarn weight and everything. It says the yarn weight and then, how many stitches per inch and the whole 9 yards, but I didn't send yours. Yours is just fingering weight. Yours is fingering weight. Fingering sock, and so it should be 400 yards merino nylon. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And 100 grams fingering sock. Needle in metrics is 2.25 to 3.25 millimeters. Needle size is a 1 to a 3. Stitch gauge is 27 to 32 stitches per inch. You're like, Natalie, now why didn't you just could you say it a little slower? Sorry. Let's sigh. What do you think about a knit for someone? Okay. I actually had this thing that I really wanted to do, Eileen. I really wanted to do, I'm going to tell you what I wanted to do. I wanted us to, and I don't know, because I have this for the 501c3, right? The charity. And I have not been able to do a lot with that because I'm too busy, which is really stupid because I really want to preserve the fiber arts. And there's so much out there that unless where it's all in one, there's like these micro cultures that we know about, but only certain pods will know about. Like if you're a weaver, you'll know about Linda Pete, right? If you're, but if you're a spinner, you won't know who that is from Navajo Nation, right? She's a weaver. And so to get all of these people and make all of this information for free about these cultures, and to try to keep it alive and simultaneously really promoting agriculture and how important agriculture is, not just to microeconomies and microcultures, really, but it really enriches the history that we know, right? Because you think about the history in general of just textiles, right? It's pretty fascinating because when you look at certain cultures, textiles, the way that the textiles are, is directly related to what tribes people are from, like in Africa, and the colors that they use. And all of these things actually really are on the verge of dying because what happens is the younger population, it's just sort of like World War II, where the older population, like my grandfather, that was a prisoner of war in World War II, he's dead. So I think there's only a few people that were, in World War II that were in combat that are still alive, right? And so what happens is just like in these microcultures, and the younger people don't want to be part of this. They want to go to the cities. And so then the population becomes older, and a lot of these things are passed down just through narratives. And there's just even if we don't just look at microcultures, but we look at something like the Falkland Islands, where there's far more sheep. I can't remember how many sheep. It's ridiculous that they outpopulate people by exponentially. And the ability of the Falkland Islands to be able to raise these essentially they're medium wool sheep, but they're pretty fine. They're some of them are arguably next to skin soft, but they're able to live in these horrendous conditions, right, with little food and just brutal conditions, and they've adapted, right? So there's just these things that are so interesting. But the whole point is that I was thinking what would be really great is to be able to knit for the kids at God, St. Jude, you know, the ones that are like missing little hands and things, like make them things. That's what I really wanted to do. And you're like, that's just because you wanted to not knit 2 gloves. You only wanted to knit 1. No, but you could knit ones, like you could knit mittens or things, you know, or socks, you know, that were for people that have prosthetics, you know, like, because they're you need special things, right, so that it doesn't rub. And I just thought that would be like a really cool thing to do, because they'd be simple projects too. And you could do like little hand sock or hand puppet, you know, finger puppets, but you could do them like little. And that's how I got the idea, because I made, remember my rat baby carrier, and that was so easy to make. I mean, that's a project that I would make, because you know, you can use a bulkier yarn and it's not fitted, and you know, I'm not wearing it. It's like, if I'm wearing something, it has to be like, my standard is so high, and it's just, I've knit myself many sweaters, but you know, bulky boxy ones. But then it's like, you know, a bulky boxy one, you may as well just go buy it. I don't know. Anyway, because I can buy it for way less than it would, you know, like, but what about the craftsmanship? But I hate using a size 2 needle. Let's just put it that way. And I won't really wear a bulky one, because they pill. Okay, but that's what I wanted to do. And then Jacinta says, I spin thread basically, and I guess I just blank on the stitches per inch. I know the wraps per inch can be 45 to, so well, that's fine. Okay, very fine. And then, let's see. Oh my gosh, and Daniela said, I'm interested, my hubby is an archaeologist and discovered some medieval mommies wearing intricate embroidered clothing, which is really interesting, because you think, you know, okay, the first animal fibers that I'm sure that we wore were felted. Because think about, like, they're double coated, right? You're like, how did you know? Do you know any woolly mammoths? But I'm just saying, like, think about, you know, prehistoric man, that anything that it would have probably been felted. And then, of course, I'm sure the whole pelt thing came about is, I'm sure something died, and then that you know, then of course, you know how the pelt's like there in the bones like that, and then they're like, oh, we can like, and then they figured out, like, when it's soaked in whatever it was, you know, that it was more pliable, and then it's sort of how the evolution of these things came. But like, just, you know, even you know, looking at the history of crochet, you know, and how it became fashionable with Queen Victoria, and someone gave her some Irish lace, and that's how, and that was she learned to crochet, and that's how it became like in vogue. And then it lost favor during the war, because it uses more yarn than knitting does. And so what the government started doing was, like, you know, giving free knitting patterns to try to, you know, as a way to discourage crochet, right? And but I mean, just a whole, even if we look at recent history like that, it's really fascinating to me. You're like, wow, you're just such a wealth of information. Too bad you're wrong. Actually, what's really funny is, it's not funny, but I teach a class called the What, When, Why, and How of Yarn, and I actually have had people say that I was wrong in the middle of class. Like, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, thank you. Actually not wrong, but I don't say that part. I just go, well, you know, these things are like subjective. So, you know, it's just like if I look up the pH for, let's say, distilled white vinegar, I'm going to see there's not going to be one agreed upon pH for, there's not. It's just the way it is. There's not a governing body that sets out and says, this is what distilled white vinegar, what the pH of distilled white vinegar is going to be. What's funny is that apple cider vinegar smells so much more toxic and vinegary, but it's actually at a higher pH. It's at a higher pH. You'd think it would be more toxic. You're like, I don't really care. Okay, this is what I'm giving away today. Are you ready? I said I was going to give away something really, really, really great. You're like, where is it? Okay, I'm not saying it's really, really great, but I'm giving away this. So this is definitely fingering sock yarn. It's 2 skeins. It's merino nylon. So it's sock yarn. And it would be 400 yards. But it would be 800 because it comes with the other one. This one, which I really like, and this one. And so these are the two that are together right here. It probably looks like crap, but in real life it doesn't. Well, it does if you don't like orange and pink and brown. Then this is like Moroccan sunset. That's sort of what it's like. You're like, wow, I don't really care. So anybody, you guys, I'm dying. I have to go inside because I'm like sweating, and it's not because I'm menopausal. It's because in 85-degree heat right now in my studio, which has no air conditioning and no airflow, by the way. Okay, so let's see. Let's say. Look at that color. Yeah, it's good. The color's good. Okie dokie. That would be 800, and it should be enough, right? Because it's 800 yards. Do I have I thought I had another one that was part of this, but I don't see it. I saw it. Okay, let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like it. Sometimes it gets degraded when we look at it. On the internet, it doesn't look very pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'm going to start with, if you said beautiful, then I'm going to put you on, I'm going to start with it. I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with Liz Rose. No, Nina Lee. I'm going to start with Nina Lee, and then I'm going to count. Okay. Okay, let's look. Okay, I'm going to keep waiting until you guys get done. I didn't have anything that thrilling to talk about this week. You know why? It's not that I didn't have that much going on. It's that I'm so exhausted because I'm not sleeping at night, and I drink beer, and then I can't remember anything. And then after I'm done doing this, I'm like, oh my God, and I forgot about that. And oh my God, I forgot about that. The high point was ripping. It really was ripping that leash away from that girl. My husband, what was so funny is my husband, I came in and told him, and he goes, I so can see you just doing that. Just grabbing it and ripping it right out of her hand. And just be like, get out of the way. Yeah, I know. I did, this is how nice I was, though. I said, hey, listen. I said, I have a book, a Cesar Millan book. A lot of people hate him. My friend Roger hates him. He's like, he thinks he's a hack and no good. And I said, listen, he taught me some very important things. I'm going to teach them to you right now. And Roger did say, okay, that is true. So I have a Pyrenees that she will bite you. Okay, and so she comes up and she right in your right, like if you're a kid, it's going to probably be in your face, which obviously is highly dangerous. And if you're an adult, it's probably going to be at your hip, right about your hip. And it's really great when guys are there with their dicks. They're like, great, that dog's going to bite me right in the dick, right? I'm like, I taught her to do that. It's so exciting. I'm like, let me fix it. Anyway, so you're so weird. I am. My mind's always in the gun. But anyway, one thing he says is no look, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. No touch, no talk, no eye contact. And I tell them, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Do not look at the dog. Do not touch the dog. As if the dog is not doing that. Just continue walking. And they do that. That dog, in like a matter of minutes, is like putting her head near him and like just panting and just looking at him, wanting to be pet. And I've done that. I had to walk into one of the Airbnbs with nobody in there, and they had 2 dogs in there, and that dog was actually jumping up and snapping at me. And I literally, no touch, no talk, no eye contact, and the dog stopped. I mean, it actually works. That was one thing. And the other one, what was the other thing that I told? And then he said, the other thing I told my girlfriend to do this because I learned this from him too, even if people don't like him. And it's totally, so Jenny, who's really small, she has a friend named Jim who has a very aggressive dog. It's like Pitbull. She has that little tiny dog I gave her that was very expensive, this little teeny tiny Shih Tzu that is the most beautiful color. It's like a liver chestnut. And so anyway, she said that her friend was staying, not a boyfriend, but he was staying with her, and she went to do something, and the dog started growling at her in her own condo, which is like 500 square feet. Like, come on, right? In my house, someone else's dog isn't going to growl at me and get away with it. And I said, you just have to take its space. Like where it is, you have to, however it takes. If you have to put a chair in front of you because you're afraid that it's going to bite you, you just keep walking towards it and force it to just walk away. And just force it to turn its tail to you and walk away. And when it walks to that place, take that place. And just own every single place. And as you're doing it, just say, mine. Don't back the dog into a corner. But every place, make sure it has somewhere to go. And just claim it as mine. And that dog, and she did it, took total testicles on this giant pit bull. And that thing is terrified of her. The minute she looks at it, it puts its tail between its legs and runs. And she didn't even have to yell it. She didn't have to do anything. She just took the space. I said, the space is yours. It's not its. You teach it, this is all mine. It's not yours. And I said, and it made, the dog, I mean, it's quite possible the dog could snarl at you. That's the point where I put the dog down. But since it's not your dog, but there's no dog in my house that is going to be growling at me and live. Or be in my house. I'm going to tell you that right now. Except for Scrappy. Okay, I know there's an exception. There's always an exception to a rule. Scrappy is it, the little shit. But that's only because of his dew claws. It's not his fault. You guys are like, can we get on with the giveaway, please? See, I taught you something about dogs. I'm telling you, those 2 things are really valuable. Is the no touch, no talk, no eye contact. And then when you have a dog that is, in, trying to own your space, you take it and you own it. And you have to, it's like I tell people that are really horse people know this, but the first time you try to load a horse in a trailer, you don't give yourself an hour. Because it may happen in an hour, but you give yourself all day. Because you can't stop on a bad note. You have to complete the task. Then it's sort of like that with, I tell people, you know, if you're not up for that, then don't start it. Because you can't have it turn around and then walk towards you and push you out of the space and have it win. Like, this is something where, like, you must commit. And you must be, you know, relatively certain the dog isn't going to, like, try and kill you. Because, right, I mean, if it's like, but that's why I say the chair. I told her, just put a chair in front of you and just, like, walk the chair in front of you so that you have something between you and the dog, right? And then I said, but, you know, you have to be able to walk in your own house. And if you lean over to grab something, the dog can't growl at you in your own house. A pit bull, I'm sorry. I got a biter. We call him Wally Gator. I love that. Wally Gator. He's a cockapoo poo. Okay, let's sigh. I'm gonna now do it. I'm gonna do my my thing. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm a little tired, you guys. I partied with my husband today. Partied with my husband this morning. I'm not this morning, but this afternoon. You know, I was like, he's like, can you get done by 1 so we can spend some time together? And then I was like, I had class at 3:30. People were like, that's why you sounded like a robot or a Stepford wife. Yeah, because we've tried one on. Let me tell you. Okay, random number generator. Okay, let me sigh. I'm going to put, okay, random number generator. I'm going to put 20, let's see, 30. Generate. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 26. Is that the right number? It's 26. It is 26. Sutton Kelly. Sutton Kelly. So that's you. So I have your address, actually. So I'm going to send it to you. And I'll actually try and put a label on it. I didn't do that last time. I felt really bad for Janet because I just wanted to get it out because I did like lollygagged about getting it out, and then it was just made me feel bad. And I was just like, stuff it in an envelope for God's sake and slap that label on it, since the label had been generated like a week beforehand. But anyway, okay, you guys. So I'm not going to see you next week, but listen, can we think of something charitable to do, please? Because what I could do is, I mean, this is the thing. If we could do something, what I thought is if we could do like, because you know where the idea came from. Think about this. Remember, what is it called? Knockers. Come on. The one for breast cancer, they make like boobs. Remember, knitted knockers. Like, then they give them all away. Everything's given away. So that would be the thing. Like I mean, what better thing than for and what hospital is not freezing cold? And I know people make hats, but I'm talking about like, it'd be so cute to, instead of having like, if you have just, a little stump, you have like a little, like it's like a glove, but it's like a little stuffed animal type little glove, like a, it's like a little hand puppet, but it's not really a puppet. It's a sock, right? Or a glove, a mitten. And you just give them away, like these things. And then the Knitted Knockers has given over 1 million of them away, and they do give them away for free to people. And it's not like both of them, like they, people only make like one. It's not like someone gets two. Like if they've had, I'm sure that there's some that they make 2 of them, and then they have these contests for people who can make the most creative ones, and they're super creative. So it's sort of the same idea. It would be awesome to do that for kids, especially, ones that I don't know. And we could probably get free yarn. I could raise, I could do like some sale or something, and then give people yarn, or like do a free class where we dye our own yarn for it, and like supply people with yarn, or or people that could afford to pay for the yarn, then they could donate yarn, or we could I mean, there's a lot of things that we could do. It would be awesome. It'd be really awesome. And it is and there's a lot of people wouldn't want to do it, which is fine, but that's something that I would actually be able to complete. And all for people less fortunate than ourselves that didn't. I have a hard time sometimes with sympathy, or like I said with my son, because he deserved that, quite frankly. And he actually, in point of fact, got lucky because he could have cut his leg off, right? So I just can't feel sorry for him. Like, children, they don't deserve, I mean, nobody deserves to be, sick or injured, but, well, some people do. Sean Connery did deserve that. But, it just, I have a lot of sympathy, and it, breaks my heart, because I don't like anybody to feel like they're less than, or like they're, there has to be something that to make people feel, better or happy that they're different, rather than, and especially kids. I remember, like, my grandfather had a Dodge Dart, and I would make him drop me off in this Dodge Dart. He worked for Georgia Pacific Lumber. And I made him drop me off like 6 blocks away from school, but his son had a Porsche Targa. So I had him, he could bring me right to, the door, I'd be fine. But, kids just, they don't want to stick out. You just don't want to, I mean, I don't know, even as adults, a lot of us don't want to stick out, right? Except for my friend Roger. He has this girl, his friend, it's not a girlfriend, but it's a friend. And she has like breast implants, but they're like those ones. Like, he says, Natalie, like, they're freakish. Like, he likes big-breasted women, but he's like, but it's, like, not even good. It's, like, and she doesn't realize that attention is, like, it's not attention, like, when people are admiring her. It's attention, like, oh, my God. Like, who would do that, right? And that makes me sad. I'm not criticizing this woman at all. It just makes it sad, because a lot of people have dysmorphia. Like, there's people that, that have true body dysmorphia. Like, they really can't see themselves very clearly when they look in the mirror. And so, I'm sure that she, in her mind, it looks normal. But, if you have to have 2 implants in one breast, right, to get to, like, a quadruple F or G or H, like, and, I mean, it's obviously not something that she's conscious of, because she wouldn't do it, right? If she didn't know people were like, oh my God, can you believe that? Why would somebody want that, right? And they're like, it's clown. He actually directly says it's clown. And she's a very good friend of his. And if he says that, like, and he likes women with big breasts. But anyway, why was he saying that? Because some people actually do want attention. Just unfortunately, it often ends up to be bad. Oh, okay. Let me just finish. You guys are like, we don't care anymore. Someone won. Now can we just move on? Just say goodbye and tell us when we're going to see you again. You're going to see me not this Tuesday, but probably the next Tuesday. Most likely, unless I can't get my shit together to get out the next day for the next place I'm going, which is Pennsylvania. And in that case, I would I would let you guys know. So I love you guys so much. You make my Tuesdays worth living. You're like, isn't that just a little bit? No, but a lot of the time I do. I'm just like, it's just like a circular thing of shit. It's like your refrigerator breaks, and then you make some money, and then you need a new tractor, and then it's like, and then, it's just, life sucks. Anyway, and then you die. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. I love you, and I'll get the yarn out. Oh, and don't worry, we're going to figure out, I need help figuring out something we can do that's charitable and good. And then don't worry, I'm going to post something, I'm not sure when, about the conclusion of the sweater knit along. Please continue knitting. We have till the July 1st. I've just said it. Okay, bye you guys. Love you so much. See you soon. And visit me on Facebook.